Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, we're fresh out of Nintendo Directs, but how about a Pokémon Presents instead? Ones who does not have the Triforce can't go in, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society can't go in with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I'm always joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, and then on Thursday, we're going to be responding to listener feedback and settling some debates from last week's episode about Nintendo IP. But Mark, in the meantime, how's it going?
It's going great. You watched that Andor trailer?
I did watch that Andor trailer.
Andor Season 2 trailer?
I saw that Andor Season 2 trailer. I think it's so funny that they are like, this isn't like a dorky Star Wars
No,
thing.
this is a good one.
This is like a prestige thing.
People like this.
People like this, and you don't have to be... Look, we're here with a pop song, and like, you're going to see some characters you recognize, but they're from Rogue One.
Exactly.
It's okay.
Remember the warm embrace of Rogue One?
Do you remember that? Because, look, this thing, it's not going to have some, like, weird evil Wookiee from the comics, right? You don't have to worry about that.
Don't read the comics.
Don't read the comics. And look, did you watch Rebels, Clone Wars? Of course you didn't. Those characters aren't here.
Yeah, it doesn't
except
matter.
For Saw Gerrera, who's
So
kind
Saw
of
Gerrera,
bounces around between all these things. Yeah, it's I mean, look, I'm excited about season 2 of Andor. I am, you know, my hype is up. I like the first season quite a bit. This trailer did basically nothing for me. How did it excite you?
I mean, it was fun to see old friends again. I liked.
Sure.
Seemed like there was some kind of like musical number happening thing with like dance with Mon Mothma.
Sure.
Mon Mothma? No, that's not right.
Mon Mothma.
Mon Mothma.
Yeah, it sounded like you were trying to put an extra syllable in between Mon and Mothma.
Yeah.
Like Monomothma.
I think like Mothman was tripping me up for some reason.
Right. And all of his prophecies.
What was I going to say about it? Oh, I just recently rewatched Severance season 1.
Okay.
Because Severance season 2. Yeah, exactly. And it made me realize that I had forgotten so much of what happens in the first, the blow by blow, like all the details of it. I do think I've got to rewatch Andor season 1 before season 2 starts.
Well, Mark, I have a plan for that. So I'm going to be inviting you over to my house for 4 nights over the course of March and April to watch Andor season 1 with me.
Sounds amazing.
I wrote up a whole proposal and everything. We can see how long we're going to be watching TV for each of these nights. It's going to be great. We're excited about Andor over here.
Yes, we are.
In this house, we believe it's good to be excited about Andor. You know what I did like seeing in that trailer is our old boy Cyril Karn. The Imperial stooge who like just gets busted down to like nothing. Lives with his mom. Like that's I'm excited to revisit the most pathetic Imperial story.
I forgot about him and his love of cereal, something we have in common.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's right. We're finding common ground.
Exactly, humanity and everyone.
It's also very funny to see Disney try to advertise something that is like about overthrowing an impressive imperial regime.
But it's not political.
No,
somehow. Please God, please don't think this is political. Don't be mad at us.
Please don't be mad at us. Yeah, it's just like they're doing everything they can to sell the thing without selling the thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of, if you would like to support us in selling a thing that is the thing, you can head on over to patreon.com/Nintendo Cartridge Society, where if you are supporting us at the 8 or 16-bit levels, you get access to our once-a-month episodes of miniseries like NCS Arcade.
Yes, Patrick and I every month are playing a game, most of the time that we've never beaten before. Just last month, we talked about the original Donkey Kong arcade trilogy, Donkey Kong Jr., and Donkey Kong 3, and for February, so just in a few days, we're going to be talking about the Sega Genesis classic, Toe Jam and Earl.
It definitely like left a footprint, like if nothing else, and kind of just on like an aesthetic side, right? Like
right.
That I don't think other games really like played like Toe Jam and Earl for like a long time after, but like a lot of them kind of looked like Toe Jam and Earl, sounded like Toe Jam and Earl, had little farts in there like Toe Jam and Earl.
So
Yeah.
you get those episodes if you support us at the 8-bit or 16-bit level, but everybody should follow us
For
for free.
free.
Because when you're following us at any level, including for free, you get our listener feedback episodes.
Yes.
That we do where, after we've played the game for NCS Arcade, we solicit emails and Discord messages, and then we talk about those and respond to those. Plus, just some other fun stuff.
Well, look, we've had like a couple weeks to like reflect on what we said about the game originally, and so there's a lot that comes up in that conversation, and that's free for anyone who follows us at any level, including the free level. So check that out. We just put out the listener feedback episode for the Donkey Kong trilogy. So yeah, that's all good stuff. You can also, if you want to do something for free, you can join the Discord. Email us, Nintendo Cartridge Society
at gmail.com.
I'll send you an invitation. You hop in the Discord, chat with people who are talking about Nintendo. It is a good time. Mark, would you like to get into what we've been playing this week?
Let's do it.
I'll throw up my hands here as a little bit of a I don't think I played anything this week.
Yeah, so I played some stuff, but
Yeah.
we've talked about it all before, so I don't really know how much more I have to add. This might be a short segment. I've been playing Toe Jam and Earl. I completed it. And then I'm still making my way through.
I also do. Sorry.
Yeah.
I just have to highlight that here in our show notes. I do think Toe Jam is such an unnatural character name. Mark has typed here Toe Jam.
I didn't even notice
With an E
until
at the
right
end
now.
of it.
Yeah. Toe Jam and Earl.
Capital TOE, capital JAM, no space, is how we have to stylize this name.
Yes.
And as discussed, I usually type Joe Jam and then have to go back and change it to Toe Jam.
So, yes, beat Toe Jam and Earl. And
congratulations.
Thank you. And then I've also been continuing to plug through Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. I'm going to be honest, I am not finding it very fun.
That's a bummer to hear, but like kind of consistent with my memories of it.
There are levels I really like,
yes,
but like as a consistent package, I am disappointed.
Yeah,
I think. Also, I want to talk about something I've not been playing, but then I kind of miss, which is Pikmin Bloom. So I for the past few weeks, I have not really been doing Pikmin Bloom because I got overwhelmed by the amount of notifications that the game was sending me. And not from other...
It does send you a lot of notifications.
And it's not the ones... I wish I could choose which notifications I wanted it to send me, because I like getting notifications from my friends being like, hey, I help on this mushroom, or those sorts of notifications. But I hate the notification that it sends at the end of the night.
I do too.
I hate that, because look back on how many steps you took.
Totally, and because it's like a bedtime look at your phone thing.
Yeah, it's right before 9 p.m. it sends it. It's 8:57 Pacific time. I'm actually maybe in every time zone. It sends this end of day thing.
Yeah,
and I hate that one. I hate the it's windy outside or good morning. I hate that one.
Right,
and
because it's another just thing where I'm oh, my phone is making noise. I gotta check on it.
Right, and so I'm trying to limit the amount of notifications that I get on my phone. And so it just felt like it reached a tipping point for me where it's I don't want these notifications anymore.
Why don't you just turn off all notifications?
Well, that's what happened. Then I forgot about it.
And then you forgot about it. Okay,
yeah,
sure. All
exactly.
Right. So maybe what I should do is I should invite you to fight a mushroom and then text you.
Right. Yes. Yeah. That would probably work. That would probably work.
All right. Good. That is a shame. We are approaching the end of February, which means we're nearing the end of the chocolate, little Valentine chocolate Pikmin month. And the end of every month, I feel like a powerful god in mushroom battles, because I've been collecting those little guys all month long, and I know we're just a couple days away from tripping on over into March, and whatever thing they decide is the new thing, I got to start collecting new Pikmin. So I'm a little bit not looking forward to that again, but Pikmin Bloom, what a great game.
At least March is a little bit longer month, so you have a couple more days.
That's right.
To be that god before it kicks you back down.
Yes. I didn't write them down, but I'm still dipping into, of course, Tetris 99. just as like a mental reset. I've been on a writing deadline this week, so it's most of my game time has been committed to just like resetting my brain or doing a 2-hour podcast with you last week, which we did twice, and kind of keeping Metroid Dread in the rotation.
Oh, even after
even after I beat it on
hard mode.
on hard mode. We talked about this before, but messed around a little bit with the Dread mode difficulty, which turns every enemy attack into a one-hit kill for you, which is absurd. But I've been messing around sometimes with the boss rush mode, which is fun. And I can't get all the way through it.
What is the loadout that they give you, or is it just whatever you've earned?
No, so it calculates like about what you should have at this point and gives you that.
Oh, so when you go from boss to boss, like you get more missiles, you get more.
That's right.
That's interesting.
Right. Which is a good way to like practice the bosses and stuff like that too.
Do Emmys count as bosses, or it's just like
the Emmys don't count as bosses, but the like things that you like physically fight at the end of every Emmy area do.
Oh, okay.
So like those show up, and the other things that count as bosses are like things that as you're playing the game, I sort of perceive as like mini bosses, like those Chozo.
Yeah.
Those
okay. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And so that's all fun.
I guess that makes sense because my memory is that there aren't actually that many bosses.
It's true.
In Dread,
there aren't. There's maybe like proper bosses. There's maybe like 6. Which is still kind of a lot, but like you got to fight Kraid.
Yeah,
you got to fight that like weird experiment thing. There's that like early like scorpion enemy thing that turns invisible, and some stuff like that. So, doing the boss rush mode a little bit, and went back into my initial like normal mode playthrough, and just like ran around to like see if I could find items that I hadn't found before. Because as discussed previously, my completion rate on these games is like 54% or something like that, like really low in item collection. And some of that is, I would encounter Shine Spark puzzles that I couldn't wrap my head around and just like moved on. And a lot of it is just like stuff I like didn't go back for, right? So I don't know. It just I am finding that game now to be like a nice like decompression, like relaxation thing, which is nuts because like it's also sort of a like highly demanding technical exercise. But isn't that also what I'm doing with Tetris?
Right.
Like I need something that is challenging and familiar enough to my brain at the same time that it can like really make the coils spin up and then spin back out, and like just alleviate other stresses.
So how does it work to go back into Metroid Dread? Like, is it like a new game plus?
No. I'm just like
booting up an old save file and
that's
like
right.
running
so
around
like
before
right
you
before,
beat it. I see. Okay,
Ravenbeak. Yeah,
got it.
And doing that. So who knows what the future brings, but like I do feel like I'm in a little bit of a game rut right now, and I'm gonna find something. I'm gonna find something and dig in, especially because I'm on the other side of a deadline. Sort of. All right, Mark. Let's get that's what we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
Well, it's time for us to check in on Nintendo Music, and as Nintendo has done for the past few weeks since the app was released, basically.
Yes.
They added a new game on Monday night, and it was Super Mario Brothers 2.
Yeah.
As Paul pointed out in our Discord, 8 minutes of music total if you listen to every track.
And it's 8 tracks, and all 8 of them are considered top tracks. Yeah, not a lot of music in, first of all, basically any NES game.
Right.
But not a lot of music in Super Mario Brothers 2, and just feels like a strange inclusion, and that like it's bizarre that that's on the same level as like here's Skyward Sword.
And it's like, here's the one you get this week.
Right.
8 minutes of music. We're still counting it as one. We're not putting all the Mario games on there.
Right.
Just the one.
Just the one.
Uh-huh.
By the way, last week was like Me Plaza whatever.
You never know what you're gonna get with
you do never know what
the
you're
Nintendo
gonna
Music
That's
app.
right. And it's I think this release only feels frustrating because we check in on it literally every week. Right?
It's so meager.
It's so meager. But if we waited like all month and we're like, oh, we got
these
these
four
four
things.
games.
That's right.
You know,
That's
that
true.
we'd
That's
be like,
true.
oh yeah, great, and whatever. I'm barely listening to it anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, what a funny thing to not be included in the app originally.
Today, February 25th, Ninja 5.0 is released digitally.
Yeah, do you remember us talking about Ninja 5.0 when it was announced as like a re-release?
This is like the Game Boy Advance game
Yes.
that was only in the PAL region or something like that, or
No,
was it just
so
released everywhere?
in the PAL regions, it's released as Ninja Cop.
Oh, okay.
But Ninja 5.0 in North America.
And this is a remake of that game.
No, I think it's
it's just
like a presentation. Maybe it has some quality of life things, whatever. But it's like a GBA ninja game.
Okay.
And like one that had like a pretty low profile. Did I say Konami already? It's a Konami game. And it's back. It has a pretty good reputation, and like a fun Game Boy Advance ninja game. Like, I'm going to check this thing out.
Well, then we also, on Thursday, February 27th, have a Nintendo 64 game returning, and that is Glover.
Yes.
Which is a platformer where you play, a 3D platformer,
Mm-hmm.
where you play as a anthropomorphic glove.
Well, yes, anthropomorphic implies that it has, like, human-like qualities. It's just the glove. Right?
Doesn't have eyes? Doesn't Glover have eyes?
I mean, it's got like those
button things.
Like it's the old like cartoon like dating back from like minstrel show style like glove. So it has those like two black like lines on the back of the glove that I don't know what they are.
They are circles.
Oh, they are circles. Okay.
But maybe Mickey Mouse's gloves. I know what you mean. They basically it's like a Mickey Mouse glove come to life.
Yes,
except he has 4 fingers. I don't know what's going on with this. I've never played Glover.
Me neither. But I know that to be one of my like Nintendo 64 blind spots. And so my only question here is, will I be able to play this with my Nintendo Switch Online Nintendo 64 controller?
Well, I wonder how the button mapping would work, but I think you can play anything, right, with a Nintendo 64 controller. It just may not work. But I think
I would argue
you can connect.
You can't.
But you can connect your Nintendo
connect
64,
it for sure. Right?
And then I suppose if it doesn't work, which would be cool if it does.
Yes.
But if it doesn't work out of the box, then you could do some button mapping, like custom button mapping magic.
Unless they've done some like quality of life thing where it's like now fully like dual stick and you control the camera with like the right thumbstick, which doesn't exist on the Nintendo 64 controller. I was trying to look it up today to see like if it had that kind of support, and let me tell you, hard to Google, right? No one's really tuned into the fact that they're re-releasing Glover.
I feel like this was announced years ago.
I think you're right, but it's finally happening. On Thursday. Mark, do you have any interest in either of those games?
Ninja 5.0, if you end up picking it up, I would be interested to hear about your experiences, because I feel like that could be cool. I have a real soft spot for the Game Boy Advance era, and those games, and this is one I've never played before.
So. I mean, it seems like a cool time to like sample these little bits of like the past from like 25 years ago,
right?
It's with both those games. I think I might pick them both up, which feels crazy. It's been so long since we've been like, oh, there are 2 games in the new releases that were
and how random that it's 2 retro games that are just being re-released.
Bizarre. Okay, Mark, those are the new releases. Let's close the segment out. Which brings us to a regular segment on our show. It is time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or a group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance, 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, for today's 433, we're going to call back to the NCS Arcade listener feedback episode where we started to discuss workstations and what our work setup is. We're actually going to have that conversation here.
Yeah.
Mark, what's your work setup?
So
Mark, you work from home.
I work from home, and I, my job is a computer job.
Right.
I'm basically on my computer all day.
Most jobs.
Like most jobs.
Right.
Probably.
Well,
there's a lot of jobs that aren't.
Sure, you're right. You're right. That was too dismissive of me.
But
yes.
but yeah, I think pretty much every job I've had has been like a computer job.
Right.
And so my setup, which I would say is not ideal, but is just one that I have been going with for so long that I'm just kind of used to it.
Yeah, sure.
Is okay. So I have my. Like,
it's bad, but why change it?
Yeah, I mean, kind of. That's yeah, kind of situation. I have my laptop that I use as my primary kind of like screen in front of me, and the reason why I do that is because it has the webcam on it, and so this is up on like a laptop stand, and then I have a Apple like a Magic keyboard and Magic mouse that I use for like typing and pointing and clicking and things, which is 90% of my job.
Yep.
And then
computer job.
And then I have another monitor to the right, and that's like like a widescreen monitor, and so that's where I have like we use Slack, and that's where I have Slack and like all that kind of stuff. So really, most of the time, like my primary work and focus is up on the laptop screen, and then the secondary like distracting stuff or things that I need to like reference, I put on that second screen there.
Sure, yeah, that makes sense. That and then like when you break away from that at the end of the day, are you ever still like doing like a work or like other work like in that same setup, or are you like is that strictly where you're like that's where I do my 9 to 5?
Yeah, that's where I do my job. Occasionally, if we're like recording remotely, I will usually do it there because I have like the ring light and like all that kind of stuff set up. But most of the time, I really try to have it be separated, because that was something when I started working from home, which it's a very nice problem to have, but working from home where it's like, oh, like work and home bleed into each other so much.
Totally, yeah.
So having that separate space that I can use for work and then just kind of walk away from is healthy for me.
So I go into an office to work, and then when I'm there, it's a computer job. But I mostly do that because I also have like like supervisory responsibilities for the people who are doing other stuff in that space. But my work setup is really just kind of basic in that context, where it's just like a desktop computer and like a monitor. The only like little bit of flair or like unusual thing that I have is that I'm slightly breaking the rule here. That NES 8-bit DOE.
Oh, sure,
it's like a Famicom 8-bit DOE keyboard, which I really love, and it's got the big A and B button that I've mapped to like different functions that I use, which is really great. But the other thing is that when I'm working on a writing project, I don't like to do that in the office. Like if I'm in the office, I'm going to get distracted by like work stuff, regardless of when I'm there. So when I'm working on a writing project, I have my laptop up on a pair of cork yoga blocks, and then I have my Street Fighter, breaking the rule a little bit again here, Street Fighter high ground mechanical keyboard that I have hooked up, and the sort of like tactile feedback of a mechanical keyboard helps me just write for hours at a time, and just getting that like clickety clack is like an audio cue to me to be creative and write.
I am really tempted to get a mechanical keyboard because having that clicky clack,
they're good, Mark.
It just seems really satisfying. But I think I would have to kind of like relearn how to type quickly on one of those.
Behold the branch stand.
I think that's
the
probably a good cue that it's over with. Yeah.
There was no applause there, but I will just say that like it comes back really fast. Because I had the same thought too. But like it's so much more satisfying having buttons to push that push back than just like tapping on a keyboard on a laptop. We were accompanied today by pianist Michelle Lau, Sarah Nikolic, Dan Long, and James Mechelin. All right, Mark, let's get into the news.
In a post on Twitter, Nintendo announced that they were ending their gold point system effective March 25th, 2025, meaning those the digital purchases made after March 25th. Sorry. Meaning no digital purchases made after March 25th would earn players gold points any longer.
So the gold point system, this sort of persistent Nintendo reward thing that we've had around since the like 3DS and Wii U era, um, which meant that no matter what you were buying, physical or digital, you had a chance to like just earn a little bit back, and it wasn't a lot, but like you could then spend those gold coins, gold points, for like real money towards a game.
Yeah, so it was basically, at least digitally, I forgot that you could redeem gold points
I
for
know.
physical purchases.
I had forgotten about that too, and I have a bunch that I haven't like logged.
But when you purchased on the eShop, it was basically you're getting like 5%
Right,
in gold points.
right, and it's less when you do get something physically.
Yeah, to try to incentivize people purchasing digitally. And that really what has been nice. Like the entire Switch generation, I've bought things digitally, which means, I've been able to get discounts on other games that I'm buying, sometimes get them totally for free because I have those gold points.
Yeah, usually it's like a small downloadable something or other, right? Like it's not
Oh,
often
yeah,
that
yeah.
you're building up enough gold points.
Totally, but it's
Yeah,
like, oh, this thing's on sale for $3. I can buy this,
Right.
just using my gold points.
right, exactly, yeah.
So yeah, it's been a really good program. I all of this, when people were talking about the gold points and everything, it reminded me that the Wii U had two SKUs. It had like the white one and then
Uh-huh.
like the black
Yeah.
Pro one. And that black Pro one, you got 10% back on digital purchases in gold points.
Oh, really?
It was like for like 2 or 3 years, you got 10% back from the eShop.
Weird.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
So this doesn't apply to pre-orders. So as long as you've done
The ending of the program does not apply to pre-orders.
So as long as you've done the pre-ordering before March 25th,
you'll still get gold points from it, even if it results in your credit card being charged after the 25th. Just so long as you end the game releasing after the 25th, you still get those gold points.
and then gold points can still be earned by redeeming physical purchases so long as the game was released before March 25th.
So, weird scenario. Let's say you buy a physical copy of Super Mario Bros. Wonder in April. Because that game released before March 25th, 2025, you will still be able to redeem that for gold points. So like they're shutting this thing down, this program down, but in a like kind of like slow roll kind of process here, right?
And
It's not very long between now and the 25th,
Right.
right? So, but like there are many ways to still earn and use gold points for a while.
and you have here that for physical purchases, gold points can be redeemed for 1 cent towards a digital purchase.
Yeah. What?
Oh, yeah. Okay,
Every,
that makes sense.
Every
That
gold
makes sense.
point is worth a cent.
Yeah, that's right. And then gold points expire 12 months after you earn them. So that's that is interesting. So
And
I guess
that's
like
always been the case, by the way.
so until yes, that's right. So if you buy theoretically in October a copy of Tears of the Kingdom,
Yes.
you would still be able to redeem that for gold points.
Yes.
but
Correct.
Digitally, you will
Done.
not be able to earn gold points after March 25th. Like through an
unless it was a pre-order.
Right.
Right. There are a lot of exceptions here, but like the headline is that they are phasing out the gold point earning thing.
Why? Why do you think this is?
Yeah, great question. I don't know.
Do you think that because I've always thought about the gold points. I know you could earn them for physical purchases, but I think it's at a lower rate than what you get.
It is at a lower rate.
So
yeah.
I think it's always been to incentivize digital purchases, and maybe they've just reached a point where they don't feel like they need to incentivize digital purchases anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is totally possible.
And so it's just an easy way for them to basically recoup 5% of eShop revenue.
Yeah, well, and especially when like you don't have to, as the consumer, you don't have to do anything to get that cash back, right? All you really have to do is buy digitally, and then it's something that happens automatically. I would guess that they have some impressive numbers on how few people are redeeming physical games for this kind of thing, and see that as like, oh, people took the time to engage a little bit more to register their game with us, and earn those coins. So there's still some like value to that. You're engaging with the property just like for a fraction of a not a fraction of a second, but for like probably 30 seconds, right? That you're just engaging with it a little bit more. And then that's worth the reward from them, right?
Yeah.
Whereas you don't have to do anything to get the reward.
Digitally. Yeah, that's totally true. And they basically automatically redeem the gold points for you unless you tell them
they
not
offer to. Yeah.
Like it's pretty frictionless. I think that's a really generous reading of the reason that they're leaving the physical. I wonder if it's just like the logistics of we've already all of these codes are already in these boxes.
That's a good point.
For games that were released before March 25th, 2025.
But I mean, if they just like have a thing where it's like no one earns gold points anymore, that seems easier.
I know, but maybe there's like legalese
a bigger
around
switch, right?
yeah, that's right. But yeah, interesting that this is happening now. This is happening before the Switch 2 releases,
before the Switch 2 reveal
Blowout.
event, right? After the release of Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition, right? Like the sort of last dated game that we have for Switch 1. But so like that will still be part of this program. If you buy it, you'll get gold points. Yeah.
I will miss this. It's been like a nice little reward throughout the Switch generation.
Yeah, I think I'll miss it too. We've got like another sort of like rewards thing to talk about here. I think Nintendo's gearing up to do something different with their rewards. I don't know exactly what it means or what it will look like, or what it means for pricing of the games without rewards or what, but I think they're gearing up for something different. Maybe that something different is like you pay what it says on the box and that's it. But I think they're gearing up for something different.
Well, let's talk about that because Nintendo also revealed that the Nintendo Switch game vouchers will not be redeemable for Switch 2 exclusive games. And this makes sense to me. Like this follows. I had no expectation that the vouchers that I bought would work on Switch 2 games.
Yes, I would say I'm in that same boat. And you know the vouchers, Switch didn't launch with them. I think they did appear with the like advent of Nintendo Switch Online, right?
I want to say that they came later than that. That they were something, at least in North America,
right? And then
they launched in like 2018,
right?
Were around for like a year or so. Were gone and then were brought back in the past couple of years.
I also feel like they broadened like the number and type of first party games that were subject to like that you could redeem vouchers for, right? Like I remember it being like kind of a thin list in the beginning, possibly just because there were fewer first party games. But now like the list of first party games that you can get with vouchers is pretty big. So, like, I think they just sort of like expanded that offering as they went.
I can't speak for Europe, but it's also interesting that in Japan, vouchers never went away. Like
interesting.
Once they became available, they have just always been available. They didn't have like the on and off like Nintendo of America did. But so for vouchers, the way that they work, if you've never purchased the vouchers before, the deal is you spend $99.99, so basically $100 for a pair of vouchers, and they can be redeemed for most first-party games, first-party published games, which could range in price from $50 to $70. And really, the $60 and $70 ones are the ones where it makes sense.
That's the reason to use them on. If you use the vouchers to buy two $49.99 games, you're overpaying by a penny.
In fact, it feels like kind of bad to me that they even offer $50 games as part of the voucher program.
I agree. I don't like it.
It's like, why do that to people?
I don't know.
Like, why do that to like a kid or whatever?
Right.
I mean, I guess it's not really like a bad deal if your parents bought it, but it just seems...
It seems like a little bit slimy.
Yeah.
I agree. The thing that I do think was cool is that like Tears of the Kingdom was included in this.
Right.
That if you wanted to get this $70 game, you could get it effectively for $50 if you use the voucher on it.
But one thing they didn't announce is like an end date for vouchers. Like they've always had a 1-year expiration from the date that you buy them. but they're still selling vouchers. They
Mhm.
have not announced plans to stop selling vouchers for Switch 1 games. And, maybe this is a replacement for like a Nintendo Selects program or something like that.
Right.
It's just like, oh, yeah, you can continue to buy these vouchers and fill out your first party library.
Right. On Switch 1. And we've talked about this before that like we don't really have a clear idea of when they're going to stop releasing new Switch 1 games. I suspect we'll get new Switch 1 games through the end of the year.
Yeah, and
at least.
I would expect into next year.
Yeah.
Especially with like the cross-platform stuff. I mean, there's so many unanswered questions about how Nintendo's going to approach
Does
cross-platform
exist?
And
What's the point of that?
well, right. You mean like new release? Yeah. Who knows?
Metroid Prime 4. What's the point of releasing it as both a Switch 2 exclusive and a Switch 1 game? What's the point? Just that the Switch 2 version is like more powerful?
Yeah, possibly runs better. I don't know.
I don't know.
So many unanswered questions.
Right.
But yeah, like I said, I personally was not expecting to be able to use vouchers on Switch 2 games, and so this didn't come as like a surprise to me, but it makes sense they would want to clarify all this stuff before the Switch 2 is blown out.
Yeah, clarify and select, like there's just a little bit of the like get the like not great news out of the way first, so that when it comes time to like start showing games, which I imagine will be in April, that we can just be like on the happy train and just be excited about what's coming.
I would say tangentially related to this. Any thoughts, Patrick, on what Switch 2 games are going to cost? The baseline.
Right. I don't think this is tangentially related. I think this is the heart of the issue. I suspect it's because they're going to raise the price of Switch 2 games.
And I think you're right. I think that like we'll see the next 3D Mario game be $70.
Right.
The new Mario Kart, probably $70. But we've seen them in the Switch generation play with the scale a little bit. Some games are $50, some games are $40. Not often. They usually are.
What the cheapest first party?
Everybody Want to Switch?
Everybody Want to Switch, yes.
Was that 30?
It was, $29.99.
Yeah, when it came out.
So they did properly explore the scale from $29.99 all the way up to $69.99.
And I expect that to continue to be the case.
Sure.
Where not every game is going to be $70, but I think you're right.
I don't think we're going to see any $30 games though. I think 40 will be the
new
basement.
Yeah.
And like, largely their games have been 50 or 60, and they released a lot of games last year at 60 that should have been 50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nintendo and the Pokémon Company have announced a Pokémon Presents showcase that will stream live this Thursday, February 27th at 6 a.m. Pacific time.
Boo, why are we doing this? Why 6 a.m.? This is also when the Switch 2 Direct is happening. Why? I know Pokemon Presents have usually been at ungodly early hours, and I drag myself out of bed and would sit in front of the TV and watch, 27 minutes on updates of mobile games to see one thing about a game that I'm going to play for 4 hours and then put down. Well, why so early, Mark?
I think it's because they know that you and I aren't really Pokemon people, and so they're like, you know what? If one time zone is going to get the shaft,
it's going to be us.
It might as well be the one where those
Patrick
two guys don't care about it. They offered no further details about the presentation, like length or what kind of announcements we can expect. Usually, these things include a lot of updates to ongoing games like Sleep, Unite, Cafe, Remix, etc. So maybe we can also expect some news about Pokemon, the trading card game Pocket as well.
That is actually something that TCG Pocket hasn't really been out for one of these Pokemon Presents yet. I sort of imagine that it will become a new pillar of like the things they talk about when they start updating about Pokemon stuff.
There's also Legends Z through A, however we're saying it.
Z minus A?
Z minus A.
There's really no way to know.
That's out there. It's supposed to release in 2025, and we haven't really heard anything there. Chance they'll mention the Switch 2 feels unlikely to me.
It does feel unlikely, unless they've got, like Pokemon traditionally as a franchise has been on a little bit more on the conservative side. when it comes to supporting Nintendo's new hardware. So like if we're gonna see something about like the next generation, Gen 10, or where are we right now? I'm sorry, I put you on the spot right there. I put myself on the spot. I don't know the answer. The next generation of Pokemon game, I suspect will be playable on Switch One.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Maybe this is one of those cross-gen games. Although I guess, yeah, you're right. What does that even mean?
What does that even mean?
When Switch 2
What
is
would be the
backwards
point of it?
compatible?
Yes.
Yes, and it like maybe I feel like the most we could expect, or that I personally would expect, is a tease for something
Right.
that there's no name, there's no hardware. It's just kind of like a short
Totally.
20-second teaser trailer of the next thing.
Yeah.
But in the realm of like leaks or rumors or whatever, Pioro,
Back in the news.
back in the news, a leaker that for a long while was like telling everybody exactly when a Nintendo Direct was happening and what would be in that Nintendo Direct.
Right, but he did it like the Riddler. You know what I mean? He likes to plant little clues
Uh-huh.
and have Batman go like, "That's not how you say bats in Spanish."
So Pioro was hinting that we may see the reveal of Pokemon Synapse, which is a multiplayer Pokemon game being developed together by Game Freak and ILCA.
Yeah, I think it's usually pronounced Ilka. Yeah.
Which was mentioned in last year's big Game Freak hack.
So some kind of multiplayer Pokemon game. Pioro seems to think that we will see something about it there. I don't really know what. We don't have any information about what this multiplayer thing may be, but like, MMO is sort of like the fantasy ideal of what Pokemon could be. It's possible that anything is possible in a Pokemon Presents. I feel like the announcements are always like pretty muted, and that they would wait for like a Nintendo Direct to show off something big. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know that we should really expect anything too huge, and the only reason I say that is 2026 is Pokemon's 30th anniversary, and so if there was a year that they were going to, that makes sense for a new generation or a new big thing,
right?
So, I think this may be, we already have Legends, you might say, so we already know that like a new Pokemon thing is coming this year,
right?
So yeah, I guess what I'm saying is I'm leaning towards no new generation.
Sure. I mean, it was just also like kind of a quiet year as far as like AAA games were concerned for Pokemon last year, right? There wasn't anything.
Yeah.
Obviously, TCG Pocket was a big deal, and that came out at the end of last year. But that's a mobile thing. It just I feel like Pokemon can't really wait too much longer before releasing the next mainline game. So you would think that like if they wanted to do that this year, like by the end of this year, which would be the schedule, right? This is the year they should do it, or they're falling behind schedule. That we would hear about it here, but
yeah,
maybe not.
That's true. Bloomberg reports that Pokemon Go and Pikmin Bloom developer Niantic is currently exploring selling off its gaming division to Scopely, which is owned by Savvy Games Group, which is itself a subsidiary of Saudi Arabia's public investment fund.
Right. So, not like, it's pretty dry business news, frankly, and I don't actually know that this would change like users, like end users' experiences. But it's interesting that Pokemon Go, and, which is such a driver of revenue for the Pokemon company, or maybe just for Niantic, I guess, who really knows how that revenue share works. It could be changing hands.
It does make it like, I don't know, to me it feels like another marker in the shifting sands of the gaming environment.
Sure.
Where something like Pokemon Go, which I think of as very successful, Niantic is like, we don't want to be in this business anymore.
Yeah, right. And why wouldn't you want to be in that business anymore? It seems super profitable. Although, who knows? We just said before, like, who knows what amount of that revenue they have to filter back to the Pokemon company, right?
And I think in the Bloomberg report they were talking about like Niantic is refocusing more on being like a technology company instead of a
Right.
consumer facing.
Like a game company.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then, maybe there's also just like, we got to get rid of Pikmin
Miyamoto just won't let us off the hook.
Yeah.
We need somebody else to answer Miyamoto's phone calls about Pikmin Blue.
Look, we asked him to send us T-shirts that had
that's
the,
right.
the,
They're
the
mad.
big Pikmin P on it, and he wouldn't do it.
They're mad.
I'm furious. So, the deal is not finalized yet or anything like that, but I'm sure we will check in on this later.
Finally, retailer listings revealed a new Nintendo Switch OLED bundle for North America, which includes Super Mario Bros. Wonder digitally via a voucher.
So even though we are gearing up to reveal a new Nintendo Switch 2, they're still finding ways to sell a few more OLEDs.
Yep, so it's $350, and which is the normal price for an OLED. So you're getting the game bundled in for free. Has that classic red and neon blue Joy-Con, the one that the Switch launched with.
Yes, and not the pair of white Joy-Con that came with the OLED normally. Which, by the way, those are my preferred Joy-Con now.
Yeah, me too.
I love them.
Yeah, and are they only available as part of the OLED, or can you buy them separately?
They are, in fact, only available as part of the OLED. My buddy Andrew recently got an OLED Switch, and his son broke or smashed or something one of the Joy-Con, and he was like, well, I'll just replace it, but they don't sell the white ones individually, so he called Nintendo to get a replacement through them as part of like the customer service stuff. But yeah, crazy.
Also interesting that it's not like the Mario Red ones that we've seen previously. It's
Right.
just the Switch, like original Switch launch day neon blue, neon red.
Yeah, and like the Mario Red ones were, I believe, also like exclusive to the Mario Odyssey bundle, right?
Maybe
that like you couldn't buy them separately either.
Yeah.
We at some point we should do like a real accounting of like the various Joy-Cons when they were released.
We should.
And and like what they were trying to support with those Joy-Con.
You also get 3 months free of Nintendo Switch Online. So this is basically the same bundle that was available in Australia and New Zealand over the holiday season, only in Australia and New Zealand, the free Nintendo Switch Online trial was 12 months instead of 3.
That sounds like a U.S. like consumer protections thing falling down, right?
Oh, yeah. Always Nintendo of America doing a little bit less.
Doing just a little bit less, but to me it's like probably because like the government is a little bit that like I don't actually know this for certain, but it's like maybe in New Zealand and Australia, one of those countries has a thing where it's like a free trial of something has to be at least a year. You know what I mean?
This is available now. You can get it from Best Buy at least, but probably other retailers. I'm not actually sure how widespread it's going to be.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
But yeah, I mean, if you're in the market for an OLED, this is a really good deal. Wonder's a great game.
Yeah, Wonder's a great game, and the Switch OLED is a great little piece of tech. You and I both really like ours. We were like day one original Switch stalwarts for a long time, and then you got the OLED. I got jealous. I got an OLED.
Yeah, and I'm glad I made the upgrade.
Me too.
The OLED is nice. When I bought it at the beginning of 2022 or whatever, never would I have thought that it would be 2025 and still waiting on new Nintendo hardware.
Of course I knew.
Of course you knew. You called it long before.
I called it long before.
Also, interesting to me that they're selling this for $350. Still a really good deal, but man, what is the Switch 2 going to cost?
What indeed is the Switch 2 going to cost? It's also like it's fascinating because obviously you're getting the whole game for free. Do we have a read on what the dock looks like that comes with this?
I think it's just the regular OLED dock.
Okay, so it is white then? Because the OLED dock is white.
Oh, then never mind then. Maybe it is.
Maybe it's the regular.
Yeah, let me
dock?
see if I can find out.
See if you can find out. Just the only other thing that I wanted to mention is that the special edition
It's black. It's just
black,
like the
okay.
normal Switch dock. Yeah.
that so the special edition Switch lights, not just like the regular Switch lights, but the ones that have like special stuff, are $210. So there's like a little bit of a premium for like the special edition of
interesting.
it. And I guess what we're seeing here isn't really a special edition Switch. It's really just a bundle, right? So that sort of explains it. But like, you know, when I bought that the Zelda Echoes of Wisdom Switch last year, which is a little bit more expensive than I was expecting, but yeah, does not seem to be the case here.
Do you play that?
I haven't opened it yet.
Oh, okay.
It's in a
your
box.
Alarmo.
It's my Alarmo. Yes, that's right. Also, so recently we had a lot of rain in LA, and we had a little bit of a leak in our bedroom. And so we had to like move the bed out from like under the leak and like kind of, you know, clean stuff up, and, you know, like the whole bedroom got sort of reshuffled for a little bit. And in so doing, the Alarmo became unplugged. Mark, I have not plugged the Alarmo back in. So it's been like 2 weeks now.
Oh, poor Alarmo.
No Alarmo. Also, then when we put everything back, the room still felt weird.
Creepy.
Like if you move the bed in your bedroom, say like 3 feet away from where it
I
currently
totally know what you mean.
Right.
I totally know what you mean. Where like sometimes if I'm trying to like vacuum or dust behind like the nightstand,
Mhm.
and then you like reposition the nightstand, you're like, this just isn't.
I didn't do it.
It's
right.
not right.
Right. It's like there's a glitch in the matrix or something.
Yeah.
All right, Mark. Let's close this out. That is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Thank you so much to everyone for listening. We appreciate it. If you want to join the Discord, email us. I'll send you an invitation. Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying thank you for listening.